Yo, what's going on, Monday Morning Nomads and Drifting Podcast listeners? I'm Brian.
I'm Monica.
And welcome to the Backspace Nomads podcast, where we share our nerd for gaming, movies, and all the dork in between. On this episode of the podcast, we're talking about Crunchtime and game development, and then we discuss the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the upcoming release of the Avengers Infinity War.
Woo!
You're that excited, huh?
Yeah.
All right, it's April 22nd. This is episode 56 of the podcast. Let's start the show. Monica, how have you been?
I've been so busy. We're gonna have to skip a week next week because I'm going to be in Costa Rica. I know, it's shocking. I forgot to tell you, but I'm going to be in Costa Rica.
You planned this whole trip and you didn't plan on telling me?
Yeah, surprise. No joke. I actually called my mom today and she's like, "Oh, what's been going on with you?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm just packing." She's like, "For what?" I'm like, "Costa Rica." She goes, "You're going to Costa Rica? When are you going to Costa Rica?" I'm like, "Oh, in a couple of days." I go, "I didn't tell you this?" No, I honestly kept forgetting I was going, but it's just been crazy this week. So on Friday, God of War came out and I went out. I didn't pre-order this freaking game. I couldn't believe myself.
Good for you.
Good for me?
Yeah. We need to stop pre-ordering games. Pre-ordering games is ruining the gaming industry.
Okay, well, I didn't pre-order it, and a day of, I got out of work, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go to Target, and I'm going to go buy this game, and they were out.
Yeah. And
then I checked online, and, like, every Target was out. Oh, my gosh. No, this cannot be happening to me.
Almost missed the mark, huh?
Cannot be happening. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been able to live with myself.
Yeah.
So I'm in Target and I'm starting to look around and I just start calling GameStops and like similar stores to GameStops. So they're like, "Oh no, we ran out. Oh no, we ran out." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And so as it's starting like last ditch, I'm freaking out. And I call a local store called The Exchange out here as I'm in the Target bathroom. So my voice is echoing everywhere, but I'm desperate. And I also have to go to the bathroom. So this all needs to happen at the, same time. And I get the guy on the phone. I'm like, "Do you have God of War?" And he's like, let me check. I'm like, okay.
Did you sing it because you just had good acoustics in the bathroom?
Yeah, it sounded great. It was like, it sounded like a filter. Yeah. Just really helped. And I go, "Do you have God of War?" And he goes, "Let me check." And he comes back and he goes, "We have one more copy left." I'm like, "Can you hold it for me?" He goes, "We're not supposed to hold things." I go, "You don't understand. I have to get this game." And then I started to go to the bathroom. And then he said, "Okay." So I don't know if it was because he was just like, "This is really weird and I'm scared," or if he just could understand.
Did he hear you going to the bathroom?
I hope not, but I needed to go and I couldn't hold it anymore. So they held it for me and I got there and they were like excited for me because I was so excited. He goes, "This is the last one. Like we sold out of the other ones. Like you're going to have to buy an entire new PS4 because they have the special PS4s for it." And I was like, "I might've done it." And he goes, "Oh man, like that would have been a good sale for me."
He didn't know.
Yeah. So I got the game and I started it up and it's so beautiful. It's
just
so
loving
beautiful.
It.
I'm not going to lie, Brian. I don't know if it's in my I've seen too many things in my life, but like when I started this game up, I had emotions just from the very beginning. You're like, "Oh, you're going to cry. You'll cry." I don't remember when you told me that.
On the podcast. Was
it? Okay. Yeah. But you're like, "You're going to cry." And I'm like, "I'm not going to cry. I don't cry." But I do. Yeah. I cry. Yeah.
You're like a desert over there, Monica. You just
cold-blooded.
Yeah.
But there's just at the very beginning, one of his bandages on his arm starts unwrapping and he just looks at it and he starts wrapping it back up. And I was like, "What's happening?"
Oh my God.
It's the first 5 minutes. I just chopped a tree down and I'm already like, I can't believe I'm playing this game. I got so excited. I haven't been able to spend a lot of time playing it yet, though.
Did you start crying because he was rewrapping a bandage?
I did. I didn't sob, okay? It wasn't like tears, just like someone passed away or anything, but it definitely got me like a little emotional. And I felt things.
Yeah.
I don't know really what they were because it wasn't like a really sad scene I was watching, but I definitely felt things. I think I was just legitimately so excited, Brian, because you know how much I love this game. And I was just like, it's happening.
This has been like a year-long adventure of you building up into this point. Because I never really knew from your streaming days how big of a fan you were of God of War. Mm-hmm. And then like the first time I met you in person, you kind of started telling stories. And ever since, like, we've been ramping up this story. And like we've been climbing the mountain, and you reached the peak a couple of days ago while you're unwrapping a bandage.
I did. And now I'm just camping up at that peak, actually playing the game. But like, I'm just like, every time I step out of my tent, I'm like, here I am. It's happened.
Do you feel like you're the bandage? Like he was like, all right, it's time to do this again.
Oh man, I didn't think of that, but maybe.
All right.
I don't know. It was just, so I've been outside of that though. I haven't been able to play it a ton because I have to pack for this trip to Costa Rica.
Sure.
You know, I've taken my typhoid vaccination and I've got my backpack all packed and I think I'm ready to go.
I'm excited for you. Do you bring the straw that we're talking about?
Why are you outing me?
Because you're crazy. You're gonna.
I'm not crazy.
You think a straw with a filter in it is gonna stop all the disgusting water germs that exist in Costa Rica?
It says that it will. It says that it will. It says it will do it for 4,000 like liters of water that I can just drink through the straw. I can just put the straw into someone's urine and drink it, and it'll turn it into water for me. Okay.
You can drink urine with this?
I don't know. I imagine so. It's supposed to filter everything out and turn it into clean water.
You think urine water tastes better than urine?
Wait, say that one more time, Brian.
Do you think urine water tastes better than urine?
I don't know what urine tastes like. Does urine taste good, Brian?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's good. It's unique.
How did you?
I'm just joking.
How do you know this?
I'm just curious. You told me that you're going to stick this thing in muddy ass water and drink from it. And I don't know if I'm going to have a podcast host in 2 weeks.
Look, I'm going to be in the rainforest for the most part. Like if I'm really thirsty, I can probably just open my mouth and tilt my head back and be fine. Okay. But if I get to a spot where I'm not finding, rain happening or, I'm not at a hotel or whatever, the places that we're staying, I have this straw and I can stick it into whatever I want.
Yeah.
And drink from it. Okay. This is how it works.
All right.
It's how it works. EPA says that I can drink 4,000 liters. They've tested this thing and it will take out Giardia and all of these protozoas and whatever. And I'm not going to get sick.
Okay. I believe in you. Or the straw, at least.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I hope so. I hope you have a co-host. I don't want to die.
I can't be doing this by myself. I'm not interesting enough to do a whole hour of podcasting a week by myself.
I think you're plenty interesting. Tell us how interesting you were this past week, Brian.
I played Fortnite all week long. No, I really did. I tried to look for an indie game to play this week, and nothing sparked my interest. Like nothing. This is like a dead void in the indie game. Like I just want like a cool $15 game to eat up like 5 hours out of my week, and I couldn't find anything.
What?
I was looking on Steam. I don't know. I don't want to get into this whole like bad games on Steam thing because we kind of beat that dead horse a few too many times. But dude, where are all the fun games right now? Like
you should have just looked up some of the games that we've recommended as indies in the past. It doesn't have to be one that just came out.
You know, Monica, at some point I'm just gonna text you things like, hey, I can't find anything to play. And then you can go back to me. Like, no, Brian, we've done a solid 6 months of talking about cool indie games.
Yeah, you can just go back to one of those. It doesn't have to be this complicated. You can text me whenever you're confused about anything in life. Like, I haven't eaten for 4 hours. What should I do? I'll help you.
I, every 4 hours? You think I eat every 4 hours?
I don't know, or just whenever
Every
you
2 hours,
eat.
Monica, okay? I have to eat food every 2 hours. I'm snacking all the time.
Okay, so if something goes wrong and you haven't eaten for longer than 2 hours, you can text me and I'll help you figure it out what's happening.
Okay, thank you. Uh,
You're welcome.
and then, you know, planning on you coming out. We're going to MegaCon, Monica. How excited is that? Didn't you just book your ticket?
I did book my ticket. I mean, that's going to be happening in May. Yeah, it's excited. I'm excited to sleep on the couch right behind you there. And yeah, there's a couch literally right behind you, and I'm excited to be resting there. And when you're streaming, I can just wake up and my bed head and my like horrible bags under my eyes will just be visible for all to see. Guys, it's like, you know, it takes a little bit of effort, but Morning Monica is like Morning Monica looks like she needs to suck the souls of like 7 children to like get to like midday to look like midday Monica. Something bad happens.
Oh my God.
So I'm stoked though. I'm stoked for MegaCon. I'm stoked to, you know, we found out that all the celebrities that are in attendance are going to cost us $100 to visit. So I'm just planning on like charging.
If you guys want pictures of Monica and Jeff Goldblum, we're gonna need a donation somewhere for the podcast because that's a little pricey.
It's $100 to meet Jeff Goldblum. I thought he was just gonna want to meet me. I am just floored by this. I can't believe it.
I thought he was just gonna be like, "Oh, Monica's coming to Orlando." Finally, our paths crossed.
Yeah, I'm surprised that his PR person hasn't reached out to me, but apparently I'm gonna have to spend $90 or $100 to meet him.
You think we can get a press pass? You think we can get a press pass to MegaCon? I almost said Monica.
MonaCon. I'm gonna turn it into MonaCon. Let me believe you me. I'm gonna take like an actual like tree, and you and I are gonna ram the door of Jeff Goldblum's line in order to get up there, and then before they can arrest me, we're gonna take some photos.
I'll have the camera ready. Just go.
Yeah,
come up.
Yeah.
I think we can get press pass for MegaCon's not like a huge convention. I think they'll be excited that the Backspace Nomads are coming to town.
I'm down. Let's try to do it, you know, and then it will make it even weirder for them. And then they'll make rules around press passes after I tackle Jeff Goldblum.
They're not getting us to press. They're not getting them back. Like if we get them, they're never getting them back. I don't care how Jeff Goldblum looks at us. All right, let's move into the show for the week. The first thing we want to talk about tonight, Crunchtime in gaming is kind of rearing its head because of a little press release / tweeting activity going on PC Games and the developers of Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor, who is Neocore Games. They had to push back the release date of Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor, and they just had a press release saying like, well, we're sorry to do this, but we're going to push it back 3 weeks, and then our team's going to be working 90 hours a week to get this game to you. And
as an apology, too. Yes. They said as an apology, the developers are going to be working 90 hours a week.
And, well, just to say the least, that didn't go over too well with the Twitter sphere, you know?
No.
So they had to like do a follow-up to this where they said they were just joking. But, you know, do you think they were just joking, Monica? Do you think the 90 hours work week during the crunch time, do you think that was a joke, or was it a literal, like the producer's like, oh no, we're doing this, buckle up, get some overtime?
It's hard to say. I feel like in general, industries like this do tend to push. There's a culture behind it, and it's not the first time I would have heard about game developers talking about extremely long weeks. It might have been the first time that I've heard about a company boasting that their game developers were going to be doing that in order to make up for supposed problem, right?
Yeah.
But the supposed problem is that the game didn't come out when they had expected it to, and that was going to be upsetting to the audience.
Right.
Instead, they say, look, we're going to brutalize our people and we're going to fix this. And the audience is furious over that. And I feel like the audience was very protective of the developers, rightfully so, you know, and granted, I don't even know how much of the audience that was responding to this wasn't just jumping on some like train of, you know, we need to protect the workers.
That's the worst, because they're 100% doing that. There's like a tweet train that starts and everyone just feels like they have to be part of this movement. And it's like, how many times have these people ever thought about workers' rights, whatever, within the gaming industry? But all of a sudden they start seeing a few tweets. They're like, oh no, you can't work 90 hours a week. I doubt that these people tweeting know what it was like to work 40 hours a week.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, my question is it the same audience? Is this the same audience? Because there's another audience there too, right? There's the one that's angry that people are having to work overtime in order to hit deadlines. And then there's another audience that's furious if the game doesn't come out on time, you know? And I do think that over the course of the last couple of years, if a game is delayed, people tend to be kinder depending on how social media is interacting, or how the company interacts on social media. They tend to be kinder with delays.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
You're completely right. Like, people in this community as gamers, like when people miss release dates, for some reason, like, we are completely up in arms about it, as if our entire, like, you know, monthly plan is predicated upon Warhammer 40,000 coming out on the 23rd, or else we're just not going to have anything to do that Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, problems happen, hitches happen. You've been part of projects before in your work life. I've been part of big events where like deadlines have to be met, and like things just always go sideways. They always go sideways. But there's definitely a group within the gaming community that just doesn't understand that and would be there complaining about it to no ends, that like, how could you do this? How could you not hit this release date? Like, you betrayed us as developers.
Yeah. I definitely have been there. I think that I probably work an average 50-hour work week. It depends on the week. Some weeks I do just hit 40. Other weeks it's even longer than 50. And, you know, it's interesting that this particular tweet happened and there was such a rabid response to it. I don't know if I'm like now just getting spammed with news articles about overtime because I read that, but I recently saw this article even about overtime in general. I agree with, I would say that I am more so on the side of, if the game needs to have additional work, delay.
Yeah.
I can live, I can deal. I'm not going to be, you know, one of those bitchy people that's just trying to, you know, just beat up and brutalize the team that is trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that goes alongside early access games too. I'm patient to a certain extent. If you just completely abandon a project, it's upsetting to me.
Sure.
But I am on the side where it's take your time, put out a good product, and don't work 90 hours a week. Don't even work 50 hours a week if you don't have to, you know, try to not do that. But it's easier said than done. There's this article that just came out about Amazon workers going to the bathroom in bottles because they were petrified. And this is at a UK warehouse, petrified to go on bathroom breaks because they were in fear of being judged, you know? And I do think that part of like, there is just across a lot of different industries, this pressure to really put the work in. And unless you're hitting a certain amount, and whether that pressure is like self-driven or from the company, truly from the company, I mean, that can be debatable, but I mean, I know I work a lot. Yeah. I know I work a lot.
Yeah. I think my first thought, like this tweet or whatever, is like, it seems like the managers or whatever this company are like, they're getting to be all rah like, yeah, guys, we're going to work 90 hours a week to get this done. And the developers are sitting in the chairs like, no, the hell we're not. Like, like that's not what we're looking to do.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like you, I'm a workhead. Like, I work all the time and like, I really enjoy work, but I know that's not the gig for everybody, you know? And so like, to me, like, I think the interesting thing to like think about with this is crunch time an acceptable thing within the game development world? You know, like we know it exists. Like there's horror stories about this stuff. Are we getting to a point where like crunch time is no longer going to be acceptable?
I think so. I think that there's more talk about it, and I think that there should be more communication about it. I feel like every single person that's had a job has either probably experienced either their company pushing them to work more or their own workaholic ways, like, you know, taking over and they're pushing themselves to work more.
Yeah.
But the reality is that people's productivity and their creativeness and their ability to reason goes down the tube after about, I think it's like shortly after 30 hours of work in a week.
Yeah.
And that really should be broken up across multiple days.
Sure.
You know, you need to have breaks.
I've been in places where unreasonable things happen because of the long work week. I used to be a cook. I've worked in kitchens most of my adult life. And I've just been in, like, you work all the time when you're a cook. You're working 12 to 15-hour days. You're working through holidays. It doesn't matter. And like the pressure of like staying on and staying like relevant to the service and keeping up with people, it just gets. I've seen a man like, you know, literally pee into a crate on the line in a kitchen.
Ew!
And like we were all
Ryan,
working. Well,
that's disgusting.
It is disgusting, but at the same time, I looked at this guy and I'm like, I mean, at least he's not taking a bathroom break. We really need him here.
Oh my God!
Like,
No.
It is disgusting.
Ew.
Like,
ew! Did he wash it? How did he wash his hands?
In the sink. I mean,
he did. Okay, that's
like,
gross.
You know, when you're in the restaurant business, right? You can't have you can't have bathrooms in the back of the house.
Yeah,
that's against health code. All your bathrooms and stuff should be out in the front of the house so people, like the guests, can see people go to the bathroom, wash hands, and all that. Or at least all the places I've worked in. Maybe it's not against health code. But you know, when you go to the bathroom break, it's gonna take time because you got to wait for stalls and stuff. And so this dude just, you know, decided to like take one for the team, I guess, and embarrass himself.
Oh my gosh, that's so disgusting.
That's not acceptable.
That can't be a health code.
Oh no! That will get you shut down.
Okay, I would hope so. I would hope so.
The only reason I'm comfortable is like this place has since shut down for other reasons. And that's like the only reason I'm comfortable putting that out there because.
Oh my gosh, that's so gross.
So, careful when you go out to eat.
That's the moral of this story. Who cares about the developers? Just don't go out to eat anymore.
I derailed this. I'm sorry for derailing.
No, it's fine. I feel like I'm learning a lot about everything right now.
Let's bring it back. But, are we needers? Are we too needy as gamers? Are we a too needy and fickle bunch?
I would say that yes. In general, I think that it stems from a few different reasons. One of them is that marketing now involves the community heavily.
Right.
Which means that everyone feels as though their opinion matters. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have their own opinion on things, right? It's just easier to latch onto something and then say, I associate with that now, and I don't want to actually have to put any type of deep thought into it. So I do think that we are needy, and I do feel like we push a lot of this. But I also think that there is like Crunchtime in general has it's like a club.
Yeah.
You know, and I was reading this interesting article on developers, on game developers, and where this kind of comes from. And there's a few things in here that I think that are noteworthy, and I want to bring them up because, while we as a consumer of video games may find ourselves pushing the industry, I do think that this kind of culture exists within these game development houses in general. And it can't just be blamed on the community. It also needs to be looked at internally. Okay. So the honeymoon phase, you start working. I think you're in the honeymoon phase, Brian.
Am I?
With streaming, you know, you're working 60 hours a week easy.
Yeah. And I'm loving every bit of it. It's not even like it's taking a toll on me. It's like, what am I doing? I can be working on something for a stream. I love doing this. I got all this, I got a lot of back end stuff still done. And so when I'm
Mhm.
not actually streaming and I'm like trying to enjoy myself at a bar, I'm like, yeah, but like I got a few commands I got to be adding to my chat bot and stuff. I could be doing that
Right.
now.
Yeah. So the honeymoon phase, you can't stop thinking about the fascination of your new project, and all of your waking hours are kind of put into that. So if you start for a new company and you're creating this game, you're there, and then all of a sudden a 40-hour work week feels like not enough
That's for the
because
normal
you're
people.
used to pushing
Mhm.
yourself past it.
Yep.
And I actually agree with that because I tend to be a workaholic. And when I put a 40-hour work week in, I feel a little guilty.
Mhm.
It's weird. It's a weird feeling. No one's making me feel that way, by the way. No one is pushing me. No one's saying, hey, part-time or whatever. It's I am doing that to myself. Another aspect is white collar guilt. I thought this one was really interesting. It's that, these are people that are sitting at a desk, they're working, they probably had parents that, slaved away, worked like, overtime all the time. I know my dad's one of those people. He was a mechanic and he worked overtime every single week to bring a bigger paycheck home. And yet I'm just sitting there on a salary.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta put more work in,
Yep. I've felt that my entire life. Even when I was in a kitchen working a pretty hard job as a line cook, I'm like, well, my grandpa used to punch steel for a living, so I guess I'm doing all right.
You've even said things like that to me before.
Yeah, and like that's not really how I feel,
Yeah.
especially now that like I live a streaming life where I'm at a desk all day. It's just like I'm not really working. Like this isn't work. When in actuality, I'm putting in like 13 to 14 hours a day, and like it's a different type of strain on your body.
Yep, it totally is. There's also the martyr syndrome, where fans know, like it's kind of known that when you're working in these studios, like you're going to be working a lot, and so you go into it with that, hey, blood, sweat, tears, like no matter what it takes, like I'll exhaust myself, or I'm going to push myself to the limit.
It's a game.
And
oh my god.
Also alongside of that, so you just said it's a gang,
Yeah.
but the camaraderie.
Yes.
So you feel like, oh man, we're all working together. We're all in this. We're all, gonna push this. We're gonna push this baby out. Like, and everyone sits back. And if you're the one person that's like, but I got a wife.
Yeah.
And like my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen them. One of them turned 5 last week. I forgot his name. But you feel that camaraderie, like, guys, we got to do this. We're going to do this together. And that's true. And I feel like the person that is like, but my kid, I think his name's Tim,
gets ostracized.
That person has this other element, which is learned helplessness. Tim doesn't want to be a part of the gang, but Tim is going to be a part of the gang because he has learned that he will never win, presumably, and that he has to put the hours in.
Do you think like when you leave EA, you got to get beat out of EA? Like you got to walk through a hard crunch time and then they'll finally let you leave?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Like, all right, now we'll let you quit and we won't slander your name all over the industry.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they probably actually have tests where, in crunch time, you are supposed to forget your children's name. Like they're just reformatting you. They come in and they're like, "What's your child's name?" And you're like, "Tim," and they smack you across the face. 6 more hours.
They hold up.
You go back up and you're like, "What's your child's name?" Tim. 6 more hours. You go back and you're like, "I don't even know my name anymore." They're like, "You're perfect. We got you where we want you."
Stupid. I love it. All the managers like high five each other.
Yeah.
Got it.
They're like, yeah, he doesn't even know his name. So we do, to kind of close in on this, I think that there is no way working 90 hours a week is going to create a good game.
Right.
You are going to start losing your mind. You're going to forget your children. You're going to forget your own name. You're going to forget when the last time you ate was. Like, things are going to just start getting squirrely and you're not going to be putting quality work in.
Yeah.
So it's not good to do that. But I don't know. I think it's a combination. We have they have needy audiences. You can't win no matter what you do. And yet you kind of go into that knowing that that's going to be a part of your life and embracing it and taking pride in it. And it's just,
and like, I don't know. I think it's a shift in the game development world where we feel like we have to like just keep adding more and more and more content. And every game's got to be filled with like 120 hours of this stuff. So you feel like your money's worth. I'm like, when's the last time I actually like completed a game? When's the last time I did 100% in a game? It's been years since I've 100% in a game. So why do we even need to make these development cycles where we're putting like these huge like mountain peak like standards for these people to make all this content for as consumers? Because we want to buy those games because we're like, man, I'm gonna have like 120 hours of this game because I got nothing else to do. Like, you're gonna get 10 to like 30 hours out of every game you buy nowadays.
Yeah.
And so I feel horrible for these developers. I feel horrible for these people who have to like, you know, give up their whole entire life just to work for a lot of stuff that's not even going to be looked at within the industry and like by gamers at large.
Yeah. I do think the approach to this in general, though, within social media is if you have to delay a game, say you're delaying it because you want the game to be, I think it's that easy. Say you're delaying it because you want the game to be the best it can be when it comes out. And don't talk about how many more hours it's going to take or how hard everyone's going to have to work. And take the time to actually put something of quality out. But like you're saying, what is quality? Like really assess that.
Yeah. All right. And like, just be like Blizzard, like when it's ready, that's when it's coming out.
Yeah.
You needy community, get a hold of yourselves. Let's move on to the next topic for the night. The one I've been stoked about. Avengers Infinity War is finally releasing, Monica. It's coming out April 27th. And this is like a culmination of a decade's worth of storytelling and me just like completely nerding out in the movie theater. I can't even express to you just how absolutely pumped I am to finally, I have tickets. I finally bought tickets. Like, it's here. It's tangible. I spent my own money on it. I'm ready for this.
Well, whose money do you normally spend to go to the movies?
I mean, I guess mine, but like, this is like, this is like special money. This is like Avengers money.
Oh, special. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just, you know, before I was just like, oh man, I guess I'm just going to go watch Thor. Cool.
Yeah.
Now it's like, no, I get to see Thor and like 15 to 20 other people.
We did review the trailer of this one.
Yeah.
And I know you were excited about it then. And I was like, meh.
I don't know why you're so mad about this. This is like the biggest accomplishment in all of like the nerd sphere. This is like the biggest thing that's ever happened entertainment wise. I think ever. I'm going to throw it out there. Ever.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Like, think about what they've done, right? And this is why I don't think you're pumped about it. Because I don't think you're like putting the scope on it.
Okay.
This started back in 2008 with the release of Iron Man, right? The first Iron Man was released. And they had a plan to tell a larger universe story where there's multiple characters intertwining with each other. And so you don't, it's just like, this is like Greek myths. Think about Greek myths, right? When you go listen to a story about Poseidon, you know who Zeus is going into that, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be told, well, Zeus is the brother of Poseidon and he's the king of all the gods. You just know who he is.
Right.
Marvel has done this in a movie setting, which is the most impossible medium to have anything long form running. They've got something like 15 movies building on this mythos. So when we load up, guess what? There's Iron Man. And you already know that he's a billionaire alcoholic who's really good at building stuff. And all, you don't have to say a word about him. You know.
Okay.
And
you're excited because everything's accumulated to this very moment.
Yes, this is it. This is like the moment, and it's going to be 2 movies. So this is like half the moment, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm excited. Like, I'm finally going to be able to see the conclusion to storylines, like this bad guy and like the main plot line to this movie. Like, it's, you know, for those of you who somehow don't know, if you're like Monica, Thanos has a power gauntlet that's filled with gems. And these gems have been like the plot points to a whole bunch of movies leading up to this point. And like, you might not even know they're the plot point, but like, there's a thing called the Tesseract that was like in Thor 1. And it's a big piece of the puzzle. And it just, how are you able to pull that off in a industry where it's like people can't hold the attention more than 2 hours.
So have you been throughout all of these films, you've been watching for these tie-ins?
Oh yeah. And like,
Okay.
I watch for the tie-ins. I go on Reddit and I read about the tie-ins, and then I read about them. Then I go to YouTube and I look at the tie-ins, and then I listen to podcasts and I hear about all the tie-ins. Like, I am full on nerd about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and like how they've been pulling it off. The Easter eggs in all of them. Like, oh, this is a bigger thing for 3 movies down the road. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
They did that. They did that like 10 years ago. That they were this is gonna be the payoff in 10 years.
Yeah. I think I'm just at the point where, I've seen a handful of the films, but I haven't really digested them in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm the person that, like, you're driving down the road and, like, this really cool event happens to the left, and I look at the very tail end of it and I'm like, that was cool. And you guys saw like the whole thing, but I turned around too late and saw like the glimpse. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just, like,
you saw,
from my opinion, looking at the film, it seems like it's just too many people, too much going on. It's going to be chaos. And no. Okay. No. All right.
That's why this is so great. If they were to introduce all of these characters all at the same time, it would be too much to tell. But since they've been building this up, you can put this many characters into one thing, and it just feels right.
Okay.
You saw Black Panther, right? We talked about this on the pod. The villain in Black Panther, who is the crazy white dude who was missing an arm, he was shooting stuff with his arm. You remember him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was the villain and important in like one of the Captain America movies. So when you saw him, you just thought he was like a crazy guy. But when I saw it, I knew he was the bad guy who was messing things up for Captain America and had been trying to steal his vibranium for years. You didn't get that experience because you're not on board.
I didn't get that experience. I'm not on board. I can
see your excitement now. You're like, ooh, maybe I should go watch a Captain America.
You don't know me. You can't see anything.
Oh, for the audio people, she looks so excited. She's like shifting back and forth. Her eyes are wide. We've got to get you on the MCU. We've got to get you started.
Okay. All right. I'll start doing work on it. Okay. On my way to Costa Rica, I'll bring some like cliff notes. I'll print papers out and read about it. Okay.
Can we order you on Amazon? You can get all the DVDs and stuff, and there's a watching order.
Oh, I'm not bringing I'm not bringing my laptop or anything out there. So
you're going to bring a straw?
Let me ask you this. I'm bringing a straw, not a laptop.
All right.
Let me ask you this. What would disappoint you with this film? How could this film disappoint you?
I think too large of a cliffhanger, right? I need there to be a huge, the main villain in it is called Thanos, right? And they've been teasing him, and he's been showing up at the end of the films for the past like 5 years. You're like, oh, this is leading to Thanos. If this movie ends without a major resolution of the Thanos storyline, I am going to be so disappointed because even though this is going to be a 2-part movie, I would rather be living in a timeline where we're dealing with the after effects of the villain dying or doing something drastic. But there needs to be a large resolution to the storyline with the Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos. If they just kind of left it on a big cliffhanger, like, oh, Thanos disappeared. Where did he go with the Infinity Gauntlet? Oh no. I'm done. Like, I'll never watch another like trilogy in my life. Like, you can't do that to people. You can't do it.
Okay. All right.
I would also be disappointed if they don't start brand new like character storylines in this one.
Okay.
Because we're kind of the way it's been going is kind of every character kind of gets a trilogy, right? So like Black Panther has a new movie. He'll probably have 2 more Black Panther movies that are just Black Panther movies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of wrapping up a ton of storylines for all the characters that we've already had 3 movies on. I would like to start like some major new storylines within this movie.
Okay.
And they're already teasing that this Captain Marvel, which is going to be, I guess, one of the big ones going forward. This is kind of going to be here like her starting point. I'm not a massive comic book reader, but I do kind of keep up to date on like where it should be going. So if they kind of undersell and underdeliver on the Captain Marvel aspect of it, I I think I'll be slightly disappointed, but unfairly to them.
Okay.
That would just be the standard. You're a nerd. You shouldn't be disappointed by that type of thing.
So something just hit me right now. I do remember reading about Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, talking about how he had signed up and was like slightly disappointed that he had to do this, but had signed up for 12 movies and within his contract.
Ooh.
Or some, yeah, there was a crazy amount. But that makes sense to me now. I was just like, oh my gosh, how are there going to be this many films?
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me now that they would need him for that many in order to come to this gigantic, like, tail end, the Infinity War, right? Like they needed him for all of these films. So, all right. I'm getting a little, it's starting to make sense for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think the 12 films of his, it's not like 12 individual like Captain America films.
Right.
It's like he'll show up for like a 20-minute scene in a movie to kind of start tying stuff in.
Yes.
Because the last we saw him, he was hanging out in Wakanda with the Black Panther, Monica, and they didn't touch on that at all in the Black Panther.
Yeah.
Right? So what's he doing there? What's he doing in Wakanda? Where has he been?
Yeah. So what are you, obviously you're excited about all of the stories coming together and seeing where they take it. But
don't speak for me, Monica.
Oh, obviously this is exactly how you feel. But
I'm more than thrilled. You read that book right.
What are you?
Sorry, I just want to mess with it.
What are you wanting the most from this? Like, what element of this has you the most excited? What are you hoping to see?
I really want Iron Man's role in the MCU. I need them to tie a big bow on it. I need to, like, it's got to be done. You know what I mean? I feel like they've kind of exhausted the well. They really want just Robert Downey Jr. around because like he's such a box office sell. He's great doing like press and stuff. And he was in the last Spider-Man movie. He was kind of a father figure to Spider-Man and like his mentor. I kind of like to see the universe post Tony Stark and Iron Man. Like, let's, finish him up and like move him. Like, I don't know if he dies or whatever. I'm not going that far, but like a good enough point to leave it to where we don't need that character. And like, he's not the only one. There's probably some other ones in there like Thor. I know he just had a big hit, so maybe they want to do more with him, but like it would be nice for them to kind of like wrap it up. And so when you go back to it a few years, down the road, like another decade, it's like, oh, this is where we lost Thor. That's kind of a good moment, Yeah. And we're just not like going on and on with these characters because they're big of box office draws. It's like they have a narrative to tell and like, let's tell it and not just try and get after the money.
All right. I kind of want to go see it now.
I think you should.
I feel bad that I talked a little bit of poo on the trailer. You must have just been sitting there trying to be as polite as possible.
Yeah. It was after that podcast, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I'm not going to let her do that again. She's not going to be able to run down great nerd cinematic films ever again.
Okay. I'm sorry. I really did. I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed.
You weren't the only one in that one. All right. Let's wrap the show there. So it's coming out. I'm definitely going to see it while you're in Costa Rica. So when you come back, expect a full review, Monica.
Okay.
It's probably going to be, I'll have something to talk about other than playing Fortnite.
Yeah. I'm proud of you.
You're proud of future me. I can't wait to hear about your straw soon.
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully I make it back.
That's going to do it for episode 56 of the Backspace Nomads. Thank you for hanging out with us. Like we said earlier, we're going to be off next week, so expect the next episode 57 in about 2 weeks. If you want to check us out and engage with us, it's Backspace Nomads on Twitter. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe to the video. If you're one of the audio listeners on Apple iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, rating and reviewing are the best ways to support us there. It helps our discovery, and we really thank you guys and the ones who've been doing that lately. It really helps us out, so thank you.
We appreciate you.
Absolutely. That's going to do it. That's going to be it for episode 56 of the Backspace Nomads Gaming Podcast. We will see you guys on the next one.